Sonam, welcome to the Quint. In the trailer, we see a hint that your character might be homosexual, and of course, you can't confirm or deny that. But I know you're a vocal supporter of the LGBTQ community. Post Section 377, what do you think movies should now be representing the community as? Do you think that there has to be an added sense of responsibility? Do you think that we've already reached a point where we've sort of evolved in our depiction?
Honestly, I just feel like there are so many stereotypes that are portrayed in Indian cinema that it's important to kind of break each and every stereotype, because it's a misrepresentation of what anybody is like. You know, whether it's people from the LGBTQI community, whether it's an actress, whether it's a metrosexual or a man, or a chauvinistic man, or how men should be or how women should be. I think stereotypes should not exist because everybody's an individual, and I think it can be toxic in society to look at someone a certain way. And it can be also like people start thinking that that's how people really are, and they have a lot of judgment because of that. I think there are steps being taken for that, especially with the kind of films that have done well last year. I think there is a way of looking at cinema and the kind of content and films that are doing well. I think the audience is understanding and realizing, and they're evolving in a rapid fashion that we did not expect. I think the industry did not expect.
Yeah, and like you said, a lot of stereotypes have probably been broken, but it's also like art can make things that are so uncomfortable palatable, and that's the power of movies.
Absolutely.
But do you think that there's also great timing, right? Post Section 377, of course, you couldn't have imagined something like that. But do you think that this is the right time for a film like this?
I feel like this film could have come out at any time, and it would have had the same impact. Right now, I just think, my director Shelley said something really interesting to me. She's like, if you repeat something enough, it stops being a bad word. Right? For example, like if I say, let's take something that like maybe 10 years ago was not as, you could say it very loudly, like divorce, right? You say divorce once, oh my God, I'm getting divorced, and people used to get into like a shock. But you say it long enough, and you normalize it long enough, it just becomes a norm, because you'd rather be in a happy space than be in a bad marriage. In that same way, if you say something enough, and if people accept it enough, I think it's easier to see it through.
You're, of course, working with your father, and he said in jest, I think on Coffee with Karan, I think a couple of years ago, that he would not play your father in a film. And I think he was embarrassed to play your father in a film or something like that. And what changed?
I think he played Priyanka Chopra and Ranveer Singh's father. And then he was like,
Okay.
And then I guess that's what it was. No, I'm just kidding. I think we didn't find a project that was good enough for both of us to do together. I think that was more than it. Like, everybody who came to us came with scripts trying to cash on the fact that we were father and daughter. But this film has so much truth in it, and it was so idealistic that it was good enough for both of us to do.
You mentioned this earlier. You have an extremely potent voice on social media. You have this massive following. You're also trolled, like so many others are. How invested are you in this whole social media game? Because, I've seen that you say something on Coffee with Karan, someone says something, you change your name on Instagram, you add your husband's name, which is actually nobody's business but your own. There's people who say something to that. Are you invested in this? Are you able to disconnect? Because you did leave Twitter for a bit.
Well, I did leave Twitter because I was in London and I was hanging out with my husband, and I did not want to, I didn't want to indulge in social media for a short while. It's very different from Instagram. I use Twitter as a newspaper feed, right? And I'm just like, okay, these are the things that are happening in the world, and sometimes you don't know, because the world can be such an ugly place. I don't want to know what's happening in the world for like a week, 10 days. And I had just finished shooting like 2 films and released 3. And I had gotten married. So the last 1 year has been very hectic for me. So I needed some time out. So it had nothing to do, for me, anybody who's negative in life, I feel really sorry for them. Because I realize how full my life is, that I don't have time to be negative and think negatively about someone, and I definitely don't have time to go on Twitter and troll somebody. So for me, I really feel like, oh my God, how sad can someone's life be? How empty can someone's life be that they have the time to sit and write all of these things? And then, one day I got a forward of all these like copy paste messages that people were forwarding so that trolls could write, and somebody told me that they give like 25-50 rupees to these people to write. And I was like, in other countries except for India, I would be judging those people, but in India I don't. In India, those 25-50 rupees might actually feed these people for like 1 or 2 days, and I don't even think they know what they're doing. They don't even know. I think they're just copy posting it so that they can get that 25-50 rupees. So I can't judge them for that. For me, I just feel empathy and a lot of kindness, and I really, really hope that one day they don't have to do this anymore, and then they have full, amazing lives where they have no time.
One of the landmark events of last year was the Me Too movement, and 2019 has sort of picked up momentum with the allegations on Mr. Hirani. I just want to know that you've been working post that. Do you see any changes on the ground? Because I heard things like they weren't hiring women because people were scared, and has there been any sort of change, concrete change?
I think the change will only come about when all the accusations are taken seriously, and the media doesn't misrepresent and does their proper research, and they don't become clickbait articles, and there is support from the industry. Because if you have irrefutable evidence and if you do it correctly, and if it's well researched and done well, honestly, the responsibility, because I know a lot of us are always on the side of what is right. So if the media is supportive and does it responsibly and just does not do it so that it makes good copy and makes like media headlines, and is well researched and done well, I'm sure the movement, nothing is more powerful than the power of pen and the media. So it's honestly up to the media and to take this movement forward.
So do you think like something like what the female directors did of creating collective, do you think actresses or someone like you would want to do something like that? Just empower yourselves?
I think I'm pretty empowered. But unfortunately, there are very few like-minded people in this industry, and it's a very slow journey ahead. I know maybe 2 or 3 other women who think the same way. So let's just wait and watch.
All the very best for Ek Ladki Ko Dekha Se Aisa Laga. Thank you. Thank you, Sonam.